Okay, so now about the Incoterm, we choose the Incoterm that it's, well, the meaning is delivery at place. So we choose that because we know that it's the main Incoterm used by Coca-Cola. So, for example, yeah, we all this environment of distribution, delivery of that, and we choose that because it's really important and efficient. So also Coca-Cola has its own fleet of transport, which are used to deliver all the products and all the merchandise. And I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to talk about more about this Incoterm. And for example, the seller delivers the merchandise, but without unloading. So yeah, at the place of destination agreed in the buyer's location. And also the transmissions of risks in transport is present in the same place where the merchandise is delivered, and also the seller has to carry out with all the procedures and has to assume the customs clearance for export in transit, and all of this is it's for the Incoterm DAP, and why we choose yeah, this Incoterm. And the next point is optimal means of transport and load monitoring. And for this, we choose GPS. And why? Because first is one of the cheapest location systems. So yeah, it has a huge coverage, and I think that it has like the highest coverage that exists. So it's so efficient, and for that we choose that. And also it's perfect for overland units. In this case, trucks, trailers, or vans. And as we know, we are going to use this kind of transportation for our merchandise. So for that, we choose this system of GPS, and yeah, for all the things that I told you.
Hi, I'm going to talk about the logistic costs that are involved in the logistical process. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for the effort that you made in this quarter because, as we know, the situation was not the most favorable, but still the task of learning was achieved and taking something with us to develop in the future. So thank you for that. And in this case, as I said, sorry, I will talk about what I learned about logistic cost. Well, first of all, in the logistic costs are involved some parts, but the first part is the cost involved in the logistical process of product distribution. Here we can find a table about logistical process because this process has some parts uh, and in which part are explained um, something about that logistical process. I don't know if I can explain myself, but well, in the first part we can find the land transport. Here we can find the cost of the transportation. In this case, Coca-Cola has a payment to the transport company. So this cost is more easy to see. The next part is the insurance. Here, the merchandise insurance and the civil liability insurance are involved. The next part of this logistical process, we can find the reception and storage. This is easy to understand because it's the storage. And the next part is the booths. In this case, our process or logistical process has three three booths. The first one is in Yerbanis. The next one is in Cuencame, and the last one is in León Guzmán. So the cost of the logistical process increase in both. The last part is the maintenance of transport. This is more easy to understand because here we can find everything related to the transport. For example, the engine oil change, the cleaning, the general checks, and everything about transportation. Okay, the next logistic cost is the production cost, and this is easy to see because here we can find every materials that are involved in the production. For example, we start with the raw materials. Uh, in that materials, we can find the water, the carbonate, the concentrate, sorry, the carbon dioxide, the sodium, the sugar, and here we need to add the quantities and the cost per one bottle and the cost for the 600 bottles because as you know our process are about 600 bottles. And the next part in this production cost we can find the packing, that is the the pack of the package, sorry, of the product. In this case, Coca-Cola use a biodegradable plastic bottle. And the next one is the plastic container. Here, Coca-Cola use a plastic container. And the next one is the direct and indirect labor. Here we can find the salaries of the workers and the insurance of the workers. And the last part of this production cost, we can find the manufacturing. This is really important because here we can find all machines that are involved in the process of the Coca-Cola. And something like, how can I say? We can find the water treatment, the packing machine, the fridge, the carbonator, the mixer, all machines that are involved in the process of one Coca-Cola. The next one, the next one or the next part of the logistic cost, we can find the commercial cost. The commercial cost have some cost involved, which are these. The first one is the least cost. This is easy to understand because it's the cost of a product or service before discounts or taxes. The next one, we can find the surcharge and discounts, that are the discounts and the taxes. And the next one is the acquisition price. Here we can find the price, the list price with discounts or surcharge, sorry. Um, and the next part, we can find the transport cost. This is really, really important to understand because here are involved the goods, the payment of a transport company, the cleaning, the general checks, everything about transport cost. The next one is the conditioning cost. They are the expenses that are made in the warehouses to keep the goods in good condition. For example, the pallets or the packing. The next one is the warehouse cost. That is any expense that is incurred while maintaining an inventory of goods. Okay, the next part of the logistic cost, we can find the administration cost. This is mm, easier than other costs because here we can find the office suppliers, the office supplies, sorry. For example, the pens, pencil, the erasers, all cost about that things. And next one, we can find the staff salary, that is the salary of workers. The next one is the rentals, the human resource expenses, the business travel expenses, the correspondence expenses, water and electricity costs, everything about administration. Okay, the next part in this logistic cost, we can find the logistic cost of importation. This is more interesting because here we can find the packing, the cost of packing of all bottles. And the next one is the documentation cost. This is one of the most important parts in the logistic cost of importation because here we can find the circulation permit, the vehicle insurance, the certificate of approval, the driving license, all of that papers about documentation that are involved in the importation. The next one, we can find the storage, the booth, and the insurance. The Here in the insurance, we can find the insurance of merchandise and the civil liability insurance. And the last part of this cost, of this logistic cost, we can find the incoterm cost that my partner are explained before. And here we can find the cost of that. In this cost are involved the product price, the internal transport, the freight shares, the freight, merchandise insurance are more related incoterms, to the incoterms and what the incoterms needs. Well, I think that's all. Yes, that's all. Well, I think this project was of great help in logistic issues because from the beginning until the moment we were finishing it, we were finding all the issues seen in the quarter. So it was a project that helped us to relate it to real life and to the mode of operation of a company since we carried out a carefully investigation of each of the most important logistical points. Um, although this project was one of the most interesting and important for me, since it helped us to learn more about the logistic role played in a world class company as Coca-Cola. So that's all. That was my conclusion. Thank you.
Well, I'm Tari Betancourt and I'm going to tell you why are the quotes necessary. And well, this is a document that the purchasing department of a company or institution used to enter into a negotiation. And a quote for a service is requested because the price is usually highly variable. And for this reason, the company asks the provider to tell it how much the good or service is going to cost. And well, the price determines the real value of a good or a service. And well, the elements that we decided to add to our quote were customer information, seller information, the time the transportation it will take, how much the insurance was going to cost, the product to be sold, and of course the client signature. And well, the company can add some things if the client wanted.
Talking about the logistic budget, we can go so deep because this is a very long topic. And why? Because this thing is about to analyze and collect too much information and try to get closer to the real or the correct information. And this is because the companies, as a company, every time tries to keep some things like confidential. For example, in the elements, in the raw material of in this case, in the Coke, we know that they use sugar and water for their products, but we don't know all the ingredients, and because it's a secret recipe. But okay, we can say that we know all the ingredients, and we can continue to the production. we don't know how the Coke produce their products. Well, not at all the, the production or the machinery or things like that. We don't know how they complete the payment for the rent of the places where they work, or the agencies or the transport and things like that. So yeah, it's a topic where you need to collect too much information and try to say, okay, this is uh, correct, or things like that, or try to imagine it. And then we have the risk, that the risk is like uh, another long very topic, because we can analyze too much things of every country, of what they have in problems and things like that. For example, in Mexico, we have the risk of the insecurity in the highways. In other places, in other country, maybe it's the bad shape of the highways. So yeah, both of those topics are long topics where we can uh, sit down and thinking and talking and searching about the information for hours. So I think that in our project we, yeah, we do it like correct. We get closer to the real information, and I repeat, we don't know if it's the real information, because the companies every time tries to keep the information confidential. Is that what gives a characteristic taste of a characteristic design or things like that? And yeah, that's it.
Hi, good morning. My name is Yasmin Azucena Frias Macias, and I'm going to talk about the final project of Logistic Projects and my personal opinion about what I learned in this project and other things. The first thing that I want to say is what happens if a good quote is not made correctly. We couldn't know if the production, administrative, or logistic costs are correct, and this can bring a lot of problems for the company. For example, lose of a lot of money. Uh, I don't know, the lack of money of administrative things, for example, paper, things for the printer, pens, things like that that can affect in an important way the lack of money of the salary workers, the benefits. This can bring a lot of problems because if the company doesn't pay the correctly amount to a worker, the worker is gonna be mad. Also, the worker can leave the company and a lot of problems. Another thing is the lack of money of the raw materials of the production of the products, and the pay to the suppliers, and a lot of problems that we could avoid making a quote correctly. I want to say that I learned many things in this project, mainly how everything learned in the quarter can be put in a practice in a real company like it is Grupo Bimbo. So thank you. I enjoy very much do this project. Thank you for your attention.